are now 8 weeks into the war in Iran. New rounds of peace talks are set to begin, but you know who isn't exactly setting like a peaceful tone. Take a look.
You were criticized for this tweet because you said a whole civilization will die tonight. What do you want to say about that? And what can you tell us about next steps here? Are you planning further destruction?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. That statement brought them to the table. They're allowed to say death to America.
He's saying every bridge and every power plant in the country. That wouldn't be a war crime?
That would be an escalatory ladder.
What the?
A what?
An escalatory ladder?
They're climbing a totem pole of foolish out there.
You can't even...
Yeah.
The Wall Street Journal reports that you know who is really in a panic over how the war is going and struggling to find a way out. You think he overestimated his deal-making skills here? Will Vance have any more luck? Will we ever know what's really going on in the White House? Oh my gosh,
well,
what do you think?
I join with the Pope and Christians and Muslims all over the world praying for peace and an end to this conflict. But listen, I haven't gotten to talk about this since I've been back. I'm glad the Ayatollah was taken out. I've worked on public policy to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon since my time on Capitol Hill. But killing bad guys is actually the easy part of war. It's what happens next that's really hard.
Yeah.
General Kane warned that the first thing that would happen in retaliation is Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz. That was totally foreseeable.
And he heard him say that.
He heard him say it. Now it's thrown the global economy into chaos. It's impacting the whole world. And then two things. Who replaces the bad guy matters. So now it looks like it's likely his son, who's as radicalized as he was and who's now hell-bent on vengeance and martyrdom because of the murder of his father. And while I want to support the people of Iran in a people's movement that will liberate themselves and overthrow their leaders, at the same time, you're threatening to wipe out their civilization and civilian infrastructure. Like, make that make sense. This White House owes so many questions to the American public who is paying for this war, because right now it is not even clear what the goal is, and we're all feeling the consequences.
Well, you know, I think, and the Wall Street Journal piece talks about this, I think Trump was on like an artificial high. It's as if he was taking some of those Joe Rogan psychedelics after Venezuela. And he thought he could be Tarzan of the jungle and defeat everybody and go around and do regime change. And he wants to convince us that there's been regime change in Iran already and that there is regime change in Venezuela. He took out Maduro, but the person he left in there is his hand-picked, Maduro's hand-picked vice president. And the worst enforcer of Maduro's repression is still walking around in Venezuela, and there are still political prisoners. And in Iran, there is most definitely not regime change. And he posted, you know, one of the things the Wall Street Journal says is that on April 5th, it talks about this crazy tweet of his, right? Where he's, you know, saying it's got so many things that need to be bleeped out on morning TV. There will be nothing like it. Open the bleeping straight, you crazy bleeps, or you'll be in... And then
And this was just Easter.
It's just the Easter message.
But his minions say, because they go out there and they defend the indefensible, they say that he wanted to seem as unstable and insulting as possible. Well, he achieved it because even Americans think he's insane and unstable, which is why his poll numbers are as low as they have gotten.
Yeah, and I don't think he's used to people not bending the knee because he's so used to being hyperbolic and crazy in what he says, and then everyone in D.C., at least, in his party, just does whatever he says. Even Venezuela was so swift. I don't think he really thought through what next was. I thought he could I think he thinks he could get an award just for knocking out the bad guy, and then that was the end of this. He is not ready because no matter how far he goes, it's only firing up this hornet's nest he's kicked. And it's going to continue to get worse. And I don't know if he does know what.
And by the way, it wasn't swift. I mean, we had a fourth of the U.S. Navy sitting in front of the coast of Venezuela for 5 months, and we were dropping drones and bombs.
But the swift part was by pulling in someone from his administration. He was taking some structure that you don't have the equivalent in Iran. They knocked out like 40 of the top people.
And by the way, I think all of us want there to be a peace deal and an end to this. But again, even if there's a peace deal and this war ends and we're not seeing fighting, keep in mind the Iranian regime is the biggest state sponsor of terrorism. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, they may try to strike the homeland. They may try to strike troops in the region. This doesn't go away just because you sign a piece of paper.
None of it goes away. And that's why they are planning on a draft. They're planning on a draft. And you're bitching and moaning that there are women who are part of the Army, Navy, and you're getting rid of people and you talk about who shouldn't be. What the hell are you people doing?
And what it is they're changing that you no longer you used to have to opt into the draft. Now it makes it automatic.
It's a draft.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's a draft. Because if you're 18 to 25, they're looking at you.
Well, they're increasing that age too. It's
How
beyond
old is it
25.
now?
I think it's 42.
Ooh,
Why don't we make it 80?
I just made it. No, I'm just kidding. That's
Let's
a really
make it 80 and see how he feels about
Well,
it.
well, he has sores, right? He has bone spurs. He has bone spurs. I mean, just, yes, you got rid of a lot of stuff, okay. But you left a lot of crap. And you left a mess for somebody to clean up, and you don't seem to be the person doing it. You keep saying, we're coming to do this, coming to do this. Meanwhile, you're freaking out, Americans, because they don't know which direction we're going in. We got no gas, can't get a whole lot of food. Could you just pull it back a little bit, man? Pull it back just a hair.